Welcome to the Cultural Handshake with Ademola Edo.
Welcome to another episode of the Cultural Handshake, and today we have with us Olumide Onibudo, a real estate professional and a Lagosian. Hi, Olumide.
Hi, Ademola.
So, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so like you said, I'm a real estate professional, graduate of estate management from the University of Lagos. I've got a master's in real estate and I run a small real estate company in Lagos. Yeah.
Is it small? Are you sure it's small?
We're still small.
So Olumide is a Lagosian. So my first question to you is, who's a Lagosian?
Well, a Lagosian is simply anybody that is from Lagos. The original Lagosians, people from Eko.
So who are they?
The people from Eko. Well, maybe I'm not the best person to ask that question because I don't know that much about Lagos history. But the people from Eko are the original islanders, the original Lagos islanders. But now I think we have to stretch that to include people from other parts of Lagos like Ikorodu, Ekpe, Badagry, all the other parts of Lagos. Because I believe Lagos originally was just Lagos Island.
Mm.
And the western region stretched up to, was it Ikeja also?
Ikeja was the administrative capital, I believe.
I believe of the western region. No. But Ikeja was part of the western region.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then
Ekpe was not part of it.
Ekpe wasn't.
Mm.
So then they merged, or they added those parts to Lagos.
So what are the characteristics of a Lagosian?
Characteristics of a Lagosian. I think the average Lagosian is smart, is knowledgeable, is street savvy, streetwise. It has a bit of swag, Lagos charisma.
So I was asking, what are the characteristics of a Lagosian?
So, like I was saying, the average Lagosian is streetwise, street savvy, smart, an omoluabi, which is,
But that omoluabi trait, does it still really exist among Lagosians? Because you see a lot of really terrible things going on, and people boldface when you confront them. So in today's Lagos, who is an omoluabi in today's Lagos regarding all the things that you see happening?
An omoluabi is essentially someone that has home training, So, and unfortunately, we find that there are not so many these days, But I think the original Lagosians still, to a large extent, try to maintain that trait of, giving their children good home training. I can't speak
for other people.
I can't speak for a lot of people, but I think I'm an omoluabi to an extent. In terms of my own upbringing, I can speak for myself and say that, we're brought up with certain values that, you just don't find in society today. But, honesty, diligence, hard work, the typical traits that you would want to raise a child up with. But, today.
So in today's Nigeria, how do you feel as a Lagosian? Where do you think your place is in today's Nigeria as a Lagosian?
As a Lagosian, in today's Nigeria, I think, especially with the president being from Lagos now, you find that I think there's a lot of spotlight on Lagos. There has always been spotlight on Lagos, but even more so now that the president is from Lagos. So we have a huge role to play in leading the country, so to speak. And Lagos is the center of excellence, is the benchmark for all the other states in the country. So, we're the leaders. We're the ones that...
So people say Lagosians are proud and we feel better than the rest of Nigeria. What do you think about that?
We have every reason to be proud.
So you're justifying it?
Yeah, I think we have every reason to be proud. We've done quite well for ourselves. Some people might feel to the contrary, but Lagos is the 5th largest economy on its own in Africa, or in sub-Saharan Africa, if I'm correct. So, I mean, we have everything it takes to succeed. You come to Lagos, and if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere.
New York, the New York of Africa.
Exactly, the New York of Africa,
So what misconceptions do people have about Lagosians?
Misconceptions about Lagosians. I think that people think that I think there's a certain, because I'm in real estate, so I see that people believe that we've sold our birthright, by selling all the land to outsiders, people that are not originally from Lagos. But if we didn't sell the land, I mean, Lagos wouldn't be what it is today. We've opened our arms and accepted everybody from everywhere in Nigeria, and we're better for it, and those people are better for it.
Can we go deeper into that sale of land and selling your birthright? Because you have a lot of people who say that if I buy land in this particular place, I have a say on how that place should be run. What do you think about that?
Yeah, there's some truth to that. If you buy land in a place, you've automatically become a stakeholder in that neighborhood. You might not have the same rights as the original landowners.
What rights are those?
I think that there's history, there's tradition to the ownership of land in Lagos. And you can't write that off just because you bought a parcel of land. So you should also be aware of what is expected of you as a landowner, as a property owner, and try to live within the what would I call it, like the rules of that neighborhood, or what is expected in that society.
What do you think are the unspoken things people say about Lagosians?
Unspoken things that people say about Lagosians. Yeah. Can you elaborate, like unspoken?
Like maybe what do all other tribes, or what do other people that come from other parts of Lagos, when they come, what do you think they say behind your back?
I think there's a misconception or a general idea that
you need to get
some Lagosians are lazy. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So some people think that Lagosians are lazy, like rent seekers. Just sell land and collect money.
Yes,
and,
what do you think about
to
that?
live off that and until they sell the next plot, or just build houses and collect rent and not do any work. Which is, I mean, to a large extent is true, because if your forefathers have done enough for you to live comfortably,
you don't need to stress yourself.
You don't need to. I mean, yes, you can push yourself, but I mean, there's this level of comfort that you get to that, so there's some Lagosians that are like that. And
does that positively or negatively affect the people? Because, like you said, you're the landowners. You don't really need to work hard. All you need to do is sell land. You get hundreds of millions and you chill. Does it positively affect the people? What happens when all the land is sold?
Yeah.
What happens to the next generation? How is their mindset?
There are two ways to look at it. I think that there are two ways to look at it. If you've sold land and you have enough money, then you have more time on your hands to venture into other things. So we have some Lagosian industrialists who they've gotten money from whatever they did and then opened up other businesses in other industries, and then there's some people that just sit back and enjoy the money.
It's like, so Lagosians have a tag of being of party animals. When they sell this land, throw one big ass party, enjoy your life.
Yes.
So is that money being invested in parties, or is it being invested in business? Is it being invested, or is it all spent on parties?
I think that some people do invest, some people invest, and some people just party, and some people party and invest, So it depends on how much you made. If you made enough to party and invest, good for you. If you haven't and you just party.
Why do you think there's religious tolerance in the Southwest compared to other parts of Nigeria?
I think the simple answer is literacy, education. I think the push by Obafemi Awolowo to let education penetrate the Southwest is evident in how much more tolerant we are of other people than some other parts of the country. I think that is the simple answer, but also I think we're just naturally more welcoming, more
So based on how like you said, our culture is that of welcoming people.
Yeah, we're open-minded.
Why do you think that is, and it's not in, or is it? How much have you traveled around Nigeria, and have you seen other tribes to be less accommodating than the Yoruba tribe?
Yeah, I can't really, as I haven't really been to the north, or I haven't been to the east at all. I think I've been to Abuja, but the other parts of the north, no. But some of the things I've heard and read shows that they can be very welcoming as well in the north.
But not compared to the south.
But not compared to, no. I think we are the...
Do you think that's why most of the investments in Nigeria are down here?
Yes, I mean, if you're not open to other people coming to your area or your region, then there won't be... Nobody will come and nobody will invest in your...
So this is a bit of a controversial question. What's your take on hijab wearing in Christian and secular schools?
Hijab. I mean, my knowledge of Christianity, I don't think there's anything against people covering their hair.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see why they shouldn't allow people. I'm a Muslim, but I don't see why they shouldn't allow anyone cover that if that's what they want. They didn't have rules against it before, so why?
But how come, like before, it was not a problem, but at the same time, people didn't really used to cover their heads? Why that sudden change? Why is there a sudden need for people to express themselves religiously?
I think that Islam has grown significantly in the last maybe 20, 30 years. Even as a Muslim, I feel like the religion people have more knowledge of religion now. So, there's more, people embrace it more and try to live it more, So, I'll just say this. As a Muslim girl, young Muslim girls, most people, because of their open-mindedness, used to raise their children not to wear the hijab until they're much older.
To let them choose?
To let them choose, exactly. But you know that it becomes a bit more difficult when they're a bit older to teach them how to do that.
Because they're not used to it.
They're not used to it. So people are trying to get them to do it while they are younger so they can, embrace it more naturally as they grow older. That's what I think.
When I see these stories in the news, my thought is on the uniform, and the whole point of a uniform is to look uniform. So if everybody's looking uniform and we're trying not to differentiate the students, why are parents choosing to let their children differentiate themselves? Does that breed unity or disunity?
Well, uniform being uniform, I think that the truth of the matter is that I feel like school should reflect real life. And in real life, there will be people that cover their hair and people that won't cover their hair.
Okay.
So why are you trying to box them in school to live in a world where that's not how it is in the real world? In the real world, people will cover their hair, people won't. So why not teach them that in school? That's the whole essence of education, is to let people, experience the world. That's what I think that,
So why don't Muslims build more schools than mosques? Because I don't know, I might be wrong, but there's this feeling that most of the times when you see a Muslim doing a development, he's building a mosque.
Yes.
Why don't they invest more in schools? Because you see a lot of Christian schools, a lot of Christian organizations aimed at education.
Yes.
Why does it seem like Muslims just focus on mosques? Do they get a form of education at the mosque?
Yeah, typically a mosque would have a madrasa, a place where they teach Arabic, but I think that is a very good question, and I think that, the Muslims need to actually put in more effort to give formal and Islamic education. I think of late there's been a push in that direction. Yeah, some mosques now have, that the mosque in Surulere, Bori Mosque has
a school.
They have a school now that teaches Islamic, and the mosque in Lekki, Central Mosque in Lekki, also has a proper school, nursery, primary, secondary, and then...
Why do you think it took them so long to do this?
I think that it comes back to the open-mindedness thing. We were very open-minded before, but we were starting to see that it affects the children when they are much older. The open-mindedness...
Among Muslims in the Southwest?
Yes, I think, yes. So they were very open-minded. My parents... my parents, my uncles and aunties all went to like Christian schools. I used to go to church and all that. So, there wasn't any, but it kind of leads to confusion.
When the child gets older.
Or making a decision like, why do I now have to start observing when you guys brought me up in a particular
You're not used to it.
Exactly.
Okay, fair enough. So then there's also a feeling that, why do Muslim parents send their children more to Christian schools than Muslim schools? If they don't trust the Muslim schools?
I think that...
Like, if you have a choice between... Let me not mention the name of school. If you have a choice between going to Loyola than going to a Muslim school, the Muslim parents will send their child to Loyola.
Most likely.
Why?
Yeah, but because I think that's mostly because we haven't seen Muslim schools up to the standard.
Why aren't they up to the standard? You
don't
have world-class mosques.
Yes.
Why don't Muslims have world-class schools?
I don't know the answer to that question because it's a legit question because it seems like the effort has I think there's a Lamine. There's a Lamine in, I think it's in Niger or something, which is, but I don't think Lamine is even primarily Islamic. I think it's more mixed, exactly. But in the Southwest, I can't really mention any school that.
Do you know of any in the North?
Lamine is in the North.
Okay.
Lamine is in the North, so that's the only one that comes to mind. But I think there needs to be a push towards that kind of big name school.
So, what is your take on the what's the full Muslim wear, the one that you cover?
The jilbab.
Okay, so what's your take on when you see Muslim ladies wearing that at the beach? And you see the husband in a vest and shorts? Because I don't know, sometimes I'm confused. Educate me.
It's the Muslim lady's choice, then it's fine. As long as she's not being forced to do it, it's fine.
But okay, so this is my take. You see the husband wearing a vest and shorts and sweating, and you see the lady fully clothed head to toe. You know she's drenched inside.
Okay, let me give you some Islamic education.
Okay.
So for men, the aura or the parts that are supposed to not be exposed starts from, I think, from here to the knees. So you need to, as a man, you should cover from, I think, below your neck to below your knees, just below your knees.
Okay.
Should be covered. But for women, the only parts of your body that are supposed to be exposed are your face and I think palms of your hands, ideally.
When you say exposed to who?
Exposed to, very good question. Exposed to the general public.
So if there's an all-women's beach, can they be freer?
Yeah, they can be freer.
So it's when there are men around?
When there are men around that are not, we call them mahram, which is men that are not your husband or your bloodline.
Okay. So if it's your brothers, your children, you can be freer.
More freely, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. But for people that are not your blood, then you have to cover up properly.
So now, as a Muslim lady, you want to go to the beach, you want to be free, you want to enjoy yourself. There are no Muslim beaches.
Yet.
Yes.
Don't
you think that's a service that should be catered for? Don't you think it's a service that will be economically viable?
And as a professional in the real estate industry, that's actually something that we are looking at doing,
Some people are doing that?
No, not yet. But I'm saying that since there's a gap there, there's a need that can be filled or fulfilled, in that direction. So it's something that we can look at.
So what's your take on this? Does religion eradicate culture in a society?
Yes. Religion should eradicate culture, but it should eradicate bad culture. So there are some things about culture that are good, like respect for elders, greeting, being nice to your neighbors. My religion, for example, allows us to imbibe things that are good about our culture and encourages us to leave the things that are bad about our culture.
How do you define what's good and how do you define what's bad? If it's the religion that is directing you on what's good and what's bad,
for Muslims,
are religions perfect?
For Muslims, we believe that Islam is perfect.
Okay.
Has no blemish. Muslims might be imperfect, but Islam is perfect.
So but is a Muslim that's going to interpret Islam to guide?
Yes.
And if an imperfect Muslim is guiding, how do you
No,
Because why I'm saying this is that in, like, for example, what's happening in Kwara, where you see the Isheshe festival and some people saying they must not do it there. But if you eradicate the culture of the indigenous Kwaran person, what happens in the next 100 years?
It's a very tricky one, because my personal opinion is that, Nigeria is not an Islamic state, it's a secular state. So everybody has the right to practice their religion.
Mm-hmm.
And as a Muslim, you're supposed to obey the laws of wherever you live. And the laws of Nigeria permit them to carry out their religious activities without hindrance. So in this case, it's the Muslims are not obeying the law of the land by saying someone else can practice their religion. But if Nigeria were an Islamic state, then you could say that, okay, no, you can't do this. But, for Nigeria, that is what exists. And then you shouldn't be, hindering other people from practicing.
So your take is that religion should eradicate certain aspects of culture.
Exactly. Bad aspects of culture.
That's interesting. I had this conversation with Ganiu, and he said culture should evolve, and the religion should help the culture evolve positively. But I'm guessing that's the same thing, right? Eradicating and evolving, because as it evolves, the bad parts might.
Because, like I said, Islam is perfect, so the culture should evolve towards the perfection of Islam, ideally.
Where does that stop? Where does that begin? Because in the north now, you see. So yeah, in the north, you have a lot of. You see a lot of. In the north, you can't tell what is the northern culture, and I know there are a lot of ethnic groups and tribes in the north, but you see Islam is like a lawnmower going through everything, and them having one uniform sort of behavior due to religion. Is that bad or good? Because once the culture dies, the people...
I honestly can't speak for the north, because
you don't know.
I haven't been there. I don't know. What I know is from what I read and what I see, and a few of my friends that are northerners. But the general perception is that Islam has overtaken everything there. But I mean, I think there are large Christian communities as well.
So this leads to my next question. People fear the Islamic domination of Nigeria. Do you think that's true? Do you think it's a problem? And the same can be said in Lagos as well, because you see people, they fear that, they say Muslims are taking over all the political offices in Lagos, all the this and all the that in Lagos. And there was a time when Tinubu did his 8 years and Fashola did his 8 years. I read some articles in newspapers, and somebody there said that he doesn't care who the next governor of Lagos is as long as he's a Christian. That's what somebody said.
Okay.
Say if you like, bring out a monkey. As long as the monkey is a Christian, he's going to vote for that. Why do you think that feeling is there?
I honestly don't know, because I don't see how there's any Muslim domination in Lagos. I don't think there's. In fact, from some of the things I heard about the last the commissioners being rejected was that there weren't enough Muslims.
Oh, really?
On that list.
Okay.
Like, it was purely Christian dominated. These things. I don't see how.
This what you're saying is so funny.
Yeah.
Because some people will say, these Muslims everywhere.
But I don't see how there's any Muslim domination in Lagos. I don't.
What about Nigeria as a whole?
In Nigeria, it stands to reason, because there are more Muslims in Nigeria.
Are there?
Yes, there are more Muslims in Nigeria. But I mean, it doesn't mean that we must dominate or we should dominate. I feel like we concentrate too much on this religious thing, and we overlook what is really important, is whether this person is capable of delivering. We've had bad Muslim leaders and bad Christian leaders, and we've had good Christian leaders and good Muslim leaders. And what should be the yardstick is this person going to be able to do the job? Not. But I mean, it's difficult to neglect that in Nigeria, but really what we should be focusing on is whether the person can do the work.
So why do northerners say that Yoruba Muslims are not real Muslims? Because you hear this a lot, and even during the election you heard when they said they had to do the stories where they had to choose a Muslim from the north, because the northerners will feel that a Yoruba Muslim is not a real Muslim. What is a real Muslim? Why is that feeling
My
there?
understand, I mean, a real Muslim is someone that practices Islam, someone that believes in the 5 pillars of Islam.
So why do Northerners feel Yoruba Muslims aren't real Muslims?
I think that Islam came to Nigeria through the north, so maybe they feel like they have a hold on it, or how it came in to the country. But Islam is a religion that is I mean, it's more about knowledge than anything else. Like, what makes me a better Muslim than you is how much more of the religion I know than you, and how much more pious I am. That's the only measure. There's no other, to my own understanding. There's no other yardstick except that you have more knowledge of religion than me. So, did you study more than me? Did you go to madrasa or Islamic school more than me? Do you have more knowledge of religion than me? That's the only yardstick for who is more knowledgeable and who is more of a Muslim. And at the end of the day, it's only God that really knows who is worshipping him.
So, what do you understand about the other tribes of Nigeria? How much knowledge do you have of the other tribes?
I'll be honest with you, and this is going to shock a lot of people, but I think that we are very similar. In many ways, we are very similar.
But how do you know the other tribes? How can you tell how similar?
Because I've interacted. I went to King's College, which had a mix of people from all over the country, and Florette. So yeah. So we've had. I've interacted with people from all over the country, and I can tell you that we're very similar. Especially when it comes to like things like corruption and all that. There's no.
The bad is across board.
Exactly.
The good is
across board. It's across board. So when people say, Yoruba people are like this, I'm like, there are Yoruba people that are like this, and there are Igbo people that are like this, and there are Hausa people that are like this. And that is just the way it is. There are good people from everywhere, and there are bad people from everywhere.
So basically, you believe in one Nigeria?
Well, I think that the country, we have our differences as well, to be honest, So,
are the differences more than the similarities?
Unfortunately, I think that yes, in many ways, we focus on the differences more than the similarities.
So we should start focusing on the similarities.
So we need to start focusing on the similarities.
So do you believe in Nigeria?
I believe in Nigeria.
Is Nigeria working?
Nigeria is not working.
Can Nigeria work?
Yes.
Based on what you see?
Nigeria can
based
work.
On what
based
you
on
understand,
what I've seen.
Based on what you understand about Nigerians, can Nigeria actually work? Can people say...
It would take a lot of work, but Nigeria can work.
Okay. So what do you think each ethnic group should take? Sorry, what stance should each ethnic group take on building a cohesive Nigeria?
Like I said, I think we need to focus on the things that bind us together, things that are similar for us. We are all poor. Like, the whole of Nigeria is poor. There are very few rich people in this country. So we need to focus on how we can get.
I think they say we only have $5 billionaires.
Yes.
Among 200 million people.
Over 200 million people. So
only 5.
We're all poor. We're all in the. Living in the.
All crabs in the bucket.
Second poorest country in the world. So we can't escape it. It's either we work together to get out of it, or we're all going down together. I mean, if you can't jackpot.
So based on this cohesiveness and focusing on similarities, you did NYSC. Does NYSC work in its current form?
No, I didn't even leave Southwest. so
I didn't leave Lagos.
No, exactly. So I went to Ibadan, which was nice, but I mean, I think at the time when I was doing NYSC, the country was already...
it was touchy.
Yeah, it was, so everybody was trying to avoid going to the north and stuff like that, so...
Now you can't even go to the east.
Yeah.
You can't even go to the east.
Yeah.
They're kidnapping and killing.
So, for NYSC to work, a lot needs to be done to make the country safer.
Do you have any ideas on what minus the security?
Yeah.
Even when the country was secure, during NYSC, the whole point of NYSC was for you, a boy from the southwest, to go to other parts of the country and understand to look for the similarities amongst people to build a cohesive country.
Yeah.
Even when there was security, do you think that was happening? Did you hear people?
I genuinely think that was happening when
You
there was.
do?
Yeah, I think that people. if the worst case they understood more the people from that part of the country.
Because now when you go for NYC, the only thing you're thinking of is your security.
Yes.
You will not leave your room.
Exactly.
You go to your is it PSP? What do you call it again?
PPA.
And you're back in your room.
Yeah.
The less you are seen, the safer you are.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, but you hear good stories. I've heard a lot of good stories about the north and the east and other parts of the country, from NYC experiences, and it shows that the country can work because people travel and they have good stories to tell about people from they're so nice, they're this, they're that, they're so welcoming, they gave me free lunch, they tried to marry me, their daughters, and things like that, So,
really, that was happening?
Yeah, people.
Wow.
Yeah, people were offered wives, So I mean, there's hope. I think the average Nigerian, the people, the grassroots, there's hope there. It's the people up that we need to.
So so there's this government agency called the National Orientation Agency. Have you heard about it?
Yes, I have actually.
Have you heard of what they do?
No, I mean, there used to be a program. Shows I'm old, but there used to be a program on NTA about it.
Yeah. So that's what I remember it from. I remember when my mom was at NTA, and Obasanjo put a lot of money into it. So during the Buhari years, the National Orientation Agency, God knows what they were doing. And I went on their website, and all they were doing was showing Buhari projects. So I before I started this podcast, I decided to go back there, and I still saw the same Buhari things. But funny enough, I've been on their website recently, and they're actually doing a lot. Say what you might about Tinubu, but that National Orientation Agency, like, they went to the east, they went to Middle Belt, they're trying to talk to already. They've gone to a lot of. I was stunned in the 100 days. There's one new director. There's something Ali. I can't remember his name, but the guy seems to know what he's doing. So you have to ask yourself that for the 8 years of Buhari, like I've abused them in previous episodes of this, but for the 8 years of Buhari, did he not think that this country is disunited? How do we bring them together? The National Orientation Agency is supposed to orient Nigerians on how to be able to build a cohesive Nigeria, which is what they are doing now, which they were not doing before.
Yes.
So, you didn't hear of them.
What were they doing for 8 years? I mean, Buhari was clannish to me. It was more about. I mean, that's the impression I have of him.
And what do you think the National Orientation Agency? What more can they do?
You just said it.
You see these Twitter
going
battles
around the country, but
you see these Twitter battles. You see online battles. You see a lot of. Do you think there's more that they can be doing minus what they're doing?
No, I mean there's a lot more because I feel like we don't know each other enough.
Which is why I started this.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So we need to get these stories out there with this kind of podcast and stuff like that, and start to see each other from different perspectives and try to understand why is a Yoruba man like this, why is an Igbo person like this, and there's a lot of work for the National Orientation Agency to do to show people, how the cultures in Nigeria, came to be and stuff like that, and how we can, work together.
What ethnic group do you think runs the country?
What ethnic?
And do you feel like a second-class citizen in Nigeria?
What ethnic group do I think runs the country? Off the top of my head, I think there's a general consensus that the Northerners have so much power, and it seems like they're the ones that run the country.
Do you feel that is true?
To an extent, I think, yes, there's some truth there. They do have a.
So do you feel like a second-class citizen?
Do I feel like a second-class citizen? Yes.
You do?
Yes, I do.
Wow.
The reason why I feel like a second-class citizen is because I can't. I've been in this country for almost 40 years, and I can't really point to anything, maybe except my cheap university education, that I've benefited from this country. And if I were to be in another country, it would still be the same. I don't know if you get my point.
So do you feel like that's based on your ethnicity or based on
just being Nigerian?
Just being
Nigerian. I'm Nigerian. Like, what are the benefits to being a Nigerian? Like, what advantages do I have over someone in Nigeria who is a non-Nigerian?
I understand.
So, like, when you go abroad and then they say, you're like a second class, it's because the citizens themselves have advantages over you.
Which they should. It's their country.
Exactly. But in Nigeria, what advantages do I have over someone that is not a Nigerian?
In fact, the non-Nigerian has more advantages.
Exactly. So places that I can't even go into that. You see Lebanese and Indians and they have easy access, and Europeans have easier access than I do in my own country. That's why I feel like a second-class citizen here.
That's an interesting take. Very interesting. So how can we promote cultural diversity in Nigeria?
I think we need to tell stories. We need to tell stories like what you're doing with this podcast, which is amazing. Is, you know, we need to listen to each other. You know, I go on Twitter these days and I just see hate.
Battlefield.
Igbo people are like this, yo, and I'm like, you guys actually are all the same. That's the problem. You don't know. You're all the same, and you need to start looking for the stories or the things that you have in common and try to work on those.
So is it a thing that people should do? Or is it a thing that government should do?
I think that it has to be a joint effort. The government has to do some of the work, and people also have to do some. But I think the government can make it easier. You know, like the National Nutrition Agency you're talking about, enlightening people. When we're younger, when they wanted us to do anything, there would be jingles that, you know, that would be very catchy.
And with social media, messages can pass
exactly.
faster. You don't hear anything again.
Easier. So exactly, you just like try to put it in our heads that this is the way we are going on. And
so does that mean the government is promoting this diversity and not trying to bring the country together? Because the government can do a lot.
Politicians need to divide people in order to be able to rule them.
Politicians are in government.
Yes, exactly. So
the government wants to keep us divided?
I wouldn't say the government. I didn't say that. But politicians, if there are no divisions, then, you know, they can't easily have their way. If everybody's united against the politicians, then, you know, they're in trouble.
And on that note, we can end this. So, Olumide, where can we find you to patronize your real estate company?
The name of my real estate company is Irolafin Real Estate.
I've not known how to pronounce
Nobody knows how to pronounce it. I'm going to do a tutorial on how to pronounce it properly. Yes, but
where did the name come from?
It's actually my mother's Oriki.
Okay.
My mother is royalty from Osun State, so you know, her name is Irolafin. So, and I was trying to do something.
From Ikire?
Yes, from Ikire, Osun State. Yeah.
Dodo Ikire is amazing.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yeah. But yeah, so it's called Irolafin. So you can find me on AIIROLAFIN. On Twitter, Instagram, Threads.
Everywhere. Same spelling.
Same spelling.
AIIROLAFIN.
AFIN.
All right. Thanks for having. Thanks for your time.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. It was fun. So that is it. Nice. I hope we did good.
46 minutes.